Hey people, it's Niall Stokey. Now, this is a slightly old story because I should have covered it a few days ago, but here we go. This is from CNN. Biden announces new vaccine mandates that could cover 100 million Americans. President Joe Biden on Thursday imposed stringent new vaccine rules on federal workers, large employers, and healthcare staff in a sweeping attempt to contain the latest surge of COVID-19. The new requirements could apply to as many as 100 million Americans, close to two-thirds of the American workforce, and amount to Biden's strongest push yet to acquire vaccines for much of the country. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. Biden said his tone hardening towards Americans who still refuse to receive a vaccine, despite ample evidence of their safety and full approval of one. Again, I want to say this, they're going to say the Food and Drug Administration. In all honesty, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is extremely corrupt and incompetent. They are staffed many times by a lot of the people that they are supposed to keep an eye on, and they've had to. A lot of the things that they've said were safe have turned out not to be safe. You know something? Just basically, you can't take the U.S. FDA seriously. If they said something is safe, don't believe it. And secondly, this one. The vaccines got emergency approval. That meant that no real testing was done, or not serious testing. And let's keep going. He said vaccinated America was growing frustrated with the 80 million people who have not received shots and are feeling the spread of the virus. And he acknowledged the new steps would not provide a quick fix. Can we just read what he said? Vaccinated America was growing frustrated. So, if the 220 or so million Americans who are vaccinated, so why are they so frustrated, really? If the 80 million are not vaccinated, they will get the virus, they will die, or they will get immunity. They will be fine, right? That's the logic of the vaccine. When you take the vaccine, you won't die, or at least you won't become seriously sick. Again, they just keep contradicting themselves. It's just about, listen, do what I tell you. Give up your bodily autonomy. And make no mistake, when you give up your bodily autonomy, they can make you do anything. The government will eventually just come in and say, well, there are too many people. We just want to lower the population. Abort your fetus. Well, hey, if you think that's crazy, if you think the government can put something in your body and take away your rights if you don't do it, there's no real difference. While America is in much better shape than it was 7 months ago when I took office, I need to tell you a second fact. We're in a tough stretch and it could last for a while, Biden said in an early evening speech from the White House. At the center of Biden's new plan is directing the Labor Department to require all businesses with 100 or more employees ensure their workers are either vaccinated or tested once a week. Surely this is unconstitutional. I don't remember anything in the Constitution that says that he can tell private businesses what to do. And surely, isn't there all sorts of things that's in the Constitution that give private property protection and stuff like that? How can you just make all these laws? Someone needs to take him to the Supreme Court because this is way unconstitutional. An expansive step the president took after consultation with administration, health officials, and lawyers. Companies could face thousands of dollars in fines per employee if they don't comply. And I just want to say something. Biden says that he's going to go to court and have his Justice Department take on Texas because they will stand for the state of Texas telling people what to do, telling women what to do with their bodies. Yet here he is saying, if you don't let me tell you what to do with your body, I'm not going to let you work. Oh, what a hypocrite. Your ghost lab government slave loves Biden. They believe in servitude to the government to the hilt. U.S. Postal Service workers would fall under that rule, a senior administration official told CNN, and employees would be required to be vaccinated or face mandatory weekly testing. The Postal Service, a quasi-independent agency, employs more than 640,000 people. Biden also signed an executive order requiring all government employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19 with no option of being regularly tested to opt out. The president signed an accompanying order directing the same standard be applied to employees of contractors who do business with the federal government. So it doesn't even matter if you're an employee. He said 300,000 educators in federal Head Start programs must be vaccinated and called on government to require vaccinations for school teachers and staff. And Biden announced he would require the 17 million healthcare workers at facilities receiving funds from Medicare and Medicaid to be fully vaccinated, expanding the mandate to hospitals, home care facilities, and dialysis centers around the country. We have the tools to combat the virus if we come together to use the tools, Biden said at the outset of what was billed as a major speech to tackle the latest phase of the COVID-19 pandemic. The new rules amount to the most dramatic steps to get more Americans vaccinated. Once cautious of vaccine mandates, the Biden administration is now wholly embracing them as vaccine hesitancy persists amongst certain groups. So you see, they said there will be no forcing you the vaccine on you. Now when you show that you won't do what they want you to, they will take away your choice and make you to do it. You know, Upton Sinclair once said fascism will come to America under the guise of the cross, and they did, under the medical first aid cross. Administration officials acknowledged the requirement for large employers could be challenged in court, but they said the hope was to provide cover of federal rules to businesses who want to require vaccines for employees. The new rules come out as Delta variant tears through communities across the country, causing upticks in hospitalizations and deaths, particularly in areas where vaccination rates remain low. A potentially massive impact on the U.S. workforce. Wide swaths of the American workforce could be impacted by the new rules which will take effect over the coming weeks. The new emergency temporary standard for the Labor Department will require large employers to give their workers paid time off to get vaccinated. If businesses don't comply, the government will take enforcement actions which could include substantial fines of up to nearly $14,000 per violation, according to officials. And I'm sure that violates one of the amendments in the Bill of Rights, like cruel and unusual punishment. Like, how can you punish someone else for their decision? That is obviously cruel and unusual. Co-officials said the standard was a minimum and some companies may choose to go further, including by mandating the vaccine instead of offering a test-out alternative. Each employer will decide exactly what they want to do, but what we're saying for the Department of Labor rule-making process is a minimum of testing once a week or full vaccination, a senior administration official said. The new announcements will be beyond what Biden announced earlier this summer, when he required federal workers to be vaccinated but allowed for those who have opted out to be subject to stringent mitigation measures. Now federal employees will have 75 days to get vaccinated or risk being fired. The expectation is if you want to work in the federal government or want to be a contractor, you need to be vaccinated, Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, adding the number of vaccinated federal workers will still be complied. Officials said limited exemptions would apply to workers claiming medical or religious reasons for not getting vaccinated. I don't want to stop anyone who says this is because they care. You know, years ago, David Icke wanted to find out the number of missing kids and find federal figures. And he's found out that they didn't collect figures. They could find the number of stolen cars. You had to go to every single state and ask for their records. So if you have to ask a government that doesn't keep track of missing kids, and I don't know if they've changed this by now, but I'm just saying, a government that doesn't keep track of missing kids suddenly cares about the safety of all their workers and all the people who make contact with them. Just get out of here, man. It's just nonsense. The White House has said the federal government should act as a model for other businesses in their own vaccine mandates and has praised large companies that require employees to be vaccinated. Biden on Thursday also announced a major expansion to free testing, a step public health officials have said is critical to contain the virus, particularly as children return to school and some workers return to offices. The Defense Production Act, a wartime measure used to compel companies to manufacture essential supplies, will be evoked to accelerate the production of rapid tests, and the administration is planning to send 25 million free tests to U.S. health clinics, officials said. Some retailers like Amazon, Kroger, and Walmart will sell the tests at home at cost. In addition, Biden called on large entertainment venues to require proof of vaccination or negative tests for patrons seeking entry. And he said the Transport Safety Administration would double fines on passengers who refuse to wear masks on planes. If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And by the way, show some respect, he said, chastising recent incidents of air raids directed towards hard-working cabin crews. Isn't this a man whose son broke the drug laws that he himself put in place? And his son is not in jail. You know, loads of black people went to jail for a very, very long time for using crack, but I guess his son is above the rules. The six-pronged plan Biden was unveiled was finalized by the president and members of his public health team on Wednesday afternoon. He received a briefing in the Oval Office from his COVID-19 response team on the anticipated next steps. The six pillars of Biden's plan include vaccinating the unvaccinated, further protecting the vaccinated through booster shots, keeping schools open, increasing testing, and requiring masks, protecting the economic recovery, and improving care for those with COVID-19. Well, anyway, that's most of the article. I'm going to leave this article if you want to read it. Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.